Alter time. Oh, I wonder if Alter time's going to bring me out of here. This would be fucking... Oh! Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Breacher and we're on the Frost Mage. A lot of you were asking about the Frost Mage. Classically the underdog of the Mage specs. Always sort of PvP oriented. But Blizzard have worked hard in order to try and get Frost up to some sort of PvE capability. And my god, have they done a good job. It's actually had major revamps. Introduction of new spells, dropping out of other ones. A lot of mixture of things going on. And quite frankly, I really enjoy it. There's something about it that I don't enjoy as much as Cataclysm. I think I liked it being the classic underdog, but when it performs really well, I don't know. It's still a great fun spec, so let's talk about it. Your specialization is obviously Frost. You're going to pick up Frostbolt. You're going to get a weird frosting-looking glove called the Fingers of Frost. Successful Frostbolts, Frostfire Bolts, and Frozen Orbs have a chance to give you Fingers of Frost, which may give you instant cast Ice Lances that really, really, really hurts. It also procs your Deep Freeze to stun stuff. And of course, the Ice Lance we just spoke about there. The Glyph, you don't worry about it. You also get a pet. A water elemental who casts frost bolts, and he also freezes stuff. Woo! On demand. And when you freeze stuff, you get Fingers of Frost. Now, one thing to note is that this Fingers of Frost proc from the freeze that you cast from your pet. If it hits more than one target, you get 2. If it hits one target, you get 1 proc of Fingers of Frost. Okay? Something to be very aware of. So your water elemental doesn't get a name, but still, he's a nice old chap who will give you some extra play. Frost has a lot of extra spells to manage. There's quite a bit missing from there. So yes, we do get a pet, but you're also going to want to bind Freeze. So if we come into our spellbook quickly before we jump into all the talents, you want to bind Freeze. You want to get that attached to your keyboard, get it bound somewhere, because you need to be using this on cooldown. It's a DPS increase to get those extra charges of Fingers of Frost. Some other spells that we get as a Frosty guy are in fact our big DPS cooldown, which is not mentioned in the summary, which is kind of sad, which is called Icy Veins. Where are you, Icy Veins? Why can't I do things in order? That would make my life so much easier. There it is. Icy Veins. Accelerating your spell casting, granting 20% spell haste, and reducing the pushback suffered from damaging attacks while casting by 100%. Okay, haste is our big winner, which means you're going to be rolling with Frost Armor, giving you another 7% spell haste. Icy Veins is your big DPS cooldown that you need to be aware of. Alright, guys? Very easy. So let's jump into the talents that I like to talk about and recommend. Your first one is some sort of thing to do while moving, or not moving, okay? In most chances, whenever you are stood still, if you are going to be stood still for the majority of the fights, then Presence of Mind will win, giving you an instant cast Frostbolt, saving you some extra casting. If you're going to be moving quite a lot, then Scorch is going to be the winner. A little bit of movement, then maybe Icy Flows will win for you. But unlikely, if you're going to be moving very little, Presence of Mind should win. Scorch if you're moving a lot. Alright guys, now I know you're Frost and you're thinking, Scorch is a fire spell. I'm aware of that, but it's still just about something to do while moving. Not casting anything while moving, regardless of if it's Frost, Fire, Arcane, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, or anything like that, is a DPS loss, so don't do it. Level 30, you get some sort of defensive cooldown. I love Ice Barrier. Ice Barrier absorbs so much effing damage, 106,000 damage, and in the playthrough I have just done, which will be linked at the end of this video and at the beginning, to show you everything in demonstration, you'll see exactly how powerful Ice Barrier is. There's a lot of aggro to be had when you're playing a reasonably geared character. Level 45, you get some sort of CC ability. Ice Ward and Frost Shard tend not to have much use in a raid environment. Ring of Frost is just always useful, okay? Ring of Frost is useful in some raid encounters, and in 5-mans, when things go wrong, that Ring of Frost is going to pull you out of the crap. It really will. Ring of Frost is just an amazing CC ability. I seriously recommend you get it. Level 60, you get some sort of defensive ability again. Now, you're going to be sort of thinking, I'm Frost, I should use Cold Snap. The only advantage of Cold Snap, realistically, is that you reset your Ice Block. You will still get hypothermia from Ice Blocking. So if I Ice Block right now, you can see I still get the 30-second hypothermia. Cold Snap will again reset it, so my Ice Block is off cooldown, but I still can't use it immediately. I've still got to wait for hypothermia. Cauterize tends to be better for raids. When things do screw you up, then of course, and you're not aware of them, then you won't die and the people have a chance to heal you up. Greater Invisibility is situational but has an amazing use of reducing damage taken by 90% while invisible and for 3 seconds after coming out of invisibility. Wonderful for soaking things that are very, very dangerous. Excuse me. You get a bomb with your level 75 talents. Frost Bomb, Living Bomb, Nether Tempest. Let me put this to you straight away. Single target, they're all pretty much the same. It won't make much of a difference whatsoever. They've been very, very well designed. In fact, that whichever one you prefer is better. If you're going to be doing a little bit of cleave, sort of 2 or 3 mobs all the time, Living Bomb is going to be the winner because you can spread that with your Fire Blast. Don't worry again, I know you're Frost, but Fire Blast will still spread your Living Bomb with its Glyph, which is always cool. Once you're starting getting to 4 or 5 mobs regularly, Frost Bomb is actually very, very cool. Frost Bomb is a wonderful little spell to put into there. So I rolled with Frost Bomb for this one. But again, single target doesn't make much of a difference whatsoever. Your next one is a DPS level 90 ability. Now, straight up, if you're doing most DPS and you stood relatively still, Rune of Power should be the winner. However, Invocation is not too bad at all. They're both pretty even. Pretty damn even. Incanter's Ward is situational at best based on the damage taken. But Invocation tends to be preferred for Frost as we stack a lot of haste. As you've already seen, we've got things like Icy Veins. We've got things like Frost Armor. We get a lot of haste, making our Invocation pretty damn quick. You can see mine now is 5.1 seconds without anything going on whatsoever. 5.1 second cast isn't the end of the world for an Invocation to get a 25% flat damage buff, okay? So Invocation tends to be preferred by the Frosties, although there ain't much in it. It's purely because the haste makes your evocation faster. That's it. Let's talk about your glyphage. If you're going with Living Bomb, I suggest Fire Blast. For this spec, Fire Blast isn't that useful, other than it causes my Frost Bomb to go off. So if you've casted a Frost Bomb and suddenly that mob's about to die, you still want it to explode so you get the Frost Firebolt proc. So it's nice to Fire Blast things at the very end, get that proc, and send off a really powerful Frost Firebolt as you're playing. Glyph of Ice Lance, really nice for while you're doing heroics and stuff. Your Ice Lance now hits 1 additional target for 40% damage. I'm going to do some AoE cleave in the Firebands. Let me just instantly demonstrate this for you here. If I freeze these to get a couple of fingers of Frost procs, there you go. You can see I'm aiming at that target, but my Ice Lance hits another target. So you see 105k damage, 120k damage. You do so much cleave with this, a hell of a lot of cleave, which makes it a really, really nice glyph. Well worth taking, okay? A couple of other options are Glyph of Arcane Explosion. You will be using Arcane Explosion while you're using this spec, especially while you're doing big AoE. Evocation, always nice. If you use Invocation, you get a 40% heal at the end of your evocation, which is always nice. Icy Veins isn't a DPS increase, try and ignore it. There are other things there which you can kind of use. There's a lot of stuff like Glyph of Water Elemental, which means pretty much that you don't have to control your Water Elemental in a 5-man. You don't have to do anything to it. So if you don't like micromanaging your pet at all, cool, use the Glyph of Water Elemental. The other glyph I seriously recommend is Mirror Image because it looks cool. Only kidding, the minor glyphs are trash as always. They're all generic stuff, so nothing to worry about there. Let's talk about your gearing. Now, the good thing about being a mage these days is the armor that suits you is generally what your best stats are, okay? So let me turn this back on so we can see our character pane. So with a Frost Mage, it tells you Frost Armor gives you spell haste. As such, it actually works out rather well that haste is your very much preferred stat. The first thing you're going to be doing is getting your hit chance up to its maximum, okay? Get hit capped, because they missed 105k Ice Lance, guys. That's a lot of lost damage. You don't want that happening in your raid environment. You really don't. After that, stack on as much haste as you humanly can. Stack on that haste. Get it up there. You want haste. A lot of haste is always very, very cool. After that, it's not too much of a worry. There isn't anything great between either mastery or crit, to be honest. There's nothing in it that's going to make you go, oh, I need to do it. Get your hit up. Get your haste up. Get as much haste as you possibly can. That's going to work with your invocation. It's going to work with everything. So you can see with this gear, all crit to haste, crit to haste, crit to hit, hit to haste. Your other stats, not too much of an issue. You just want to get as much haste as you humanly can. Get your haste up and you're going to be in pretty good shape. The same for your gemming as well. Going to be in good shape. Alright guys, so with DPS rotation, it's pretty much, again, micromanagement based. You're going to be micromanaging a lot of spells. You're going to be micromanaging your Frost Bomb, your Frost Orb, and your Freeze. You're going to be micromanaging the crap out of those spells, okay? So it's a little bit more intensive than, say, Fire. So main things first, you want to get your Frostbolt casting, because you want to get on these stacks of Frostbolt, okay? It's going to increase your lovely, lovely crit chance and all that kind of stuff. Damage taken from the Mage's Frostbolt and Ice Lance and the Mage's Water Elemental is increased by 15%. So it's not crit, it's a straight up damage increase. Keep your Frost Bomb on cooldown. Get your Frost Orb out there. This is the basic style of play. Fingers of Frost procs are very, very cool, as you can see, and they proc quite a lot. and then you start getting a lot of natural cleave. This is single target I'm talking about now. Now, when your Frost Bomb detonates, you're going to get this wonderful proc that gives you an instant cast and very powerful Frost Fire Bolt. There you go. You can see it fires off. Boom. Get a nice big Frost Fire Bolt firing off. Free of charge. Get that extra stuff going on. You're also going to want to manage your freeze. So when it comes to single target, get your Frost Bolts on. Get that 15% damage increase. Get your Frost Bomb going. Use your freeze. Use them Fingers of Frost. Now, Fingers of Frost does stack twice, okay? So the management of that is based entirely of making sure that you don't waste them. That's all you're aiming for with those. Having one proc sit for a couple of seconds is not a problem, but if you've got two, you're going to want to fire that bad boy off just to make sure you don't waste any, okay? And then keep that Frost Bomb on cooldown. Your Frost Orb as well, use it on cooldown. When that thing attacks stuff, even though mine's stuck in midair, that's good news. It will proc Fingers of Frost for you as well, and keep an eye on your freeze so you can get more Fingers of Frost procs. Very, very important that you manage all these little things, alright guys? If you have taken Invocation, you also want to be tracking your Invoker's magic buff, Invoker's energy. Something like this, you can see there, I track my Invoker's energy from there, all that kind of good stuff. Now, your AoE, 4 or 5 mobs, you're just going to be trying to fire off as many Fingers of Frost Ice Lances as possible. Now, there's a couple of ways of doing that. One is to make sure you have a Frost Orb ready for whenever there's going to be a lot of mobs. If it starts hitting a lot of mobs, your Frost Orb will proc a ton of Fingers of Frost, and you will essentially be spamming Ice Lance like crazy. You really, really will be. And then continue a sort of Frost Bomb, Ice Lance rotation, and keeping Freeze on cooldown as well. One thing I want you to note with Freeze is if Freeze hits one target, you get one proc of Fingers of Frost. So if I freeze this target, which didn't work, I hit 2 hits, god damn it, I would only get 1 proc, but if it hits 2 targets, you will get 2 procs. So when you're looking to get as many procs as possible, if there are a couple of ads around, it is worth dropping that freeze on those to get extra DPS out of your mage. So let's say I was DPSing, I should have attacked this one, this single target mob over here, my freeze is off cooldown like it is in a second, so let's say I'm just DPSing this single target, but behind me there's a couple of mobs there, I can actually freeze behind me and fire off 2 charges into my main target, okay? A lot of extra control and a little bit of thinking mixed in with the Frost Mage, which is what I really like. If it gets to more and more mobs, it's going to get down to non-frosty abilities. If you've got 5+ mobs, you're going to be dropping Flame Strike. Yay, Flame Strike. And then using Arcane Explosion, neither of which are frost-based abilities. Yay! I actually find it very annoying that there's not a better way of AoE. Where's Blizzard at? Where's Blizzard at? That's what I want to know. But that is the most effective way of DPSing if you've got a lot of AoE to do. Alright, guys? So I'm going to jump into a 5-man now. There is a lot to take in. Join me in the 5-man, but I'll demonstrate it all for you. Alright, ballers? Bye-bye.